Okay, folks, happy Saturday. Let's start off by doing what I should have done last time I was on here, which is clean my shit up. It's not too bad, it's just distracting, and it gets in the way, and you end up touching something you don't intend on touching. That sounds inappropriate. That's not what I meant. Okay. Things get out of whack, and then I get distracted. And then you don't get as much stuff done. Okay. So last time we were working on the Sherman C11 Cagney. Man, people are on already? Gee whiz, man. Bribe Nordic with stuff. Me? No, I don't believe in bribery. Man, you need to get some sleep, dude. I thought you were back on your schedule. Your schedule. Good morning, Marcus. It's cold as shit in this house. I don't know why. Well, I had some cold cereal, so I normally don't get cold unless my chest is cold, and I woke up like hot, and it's cold. It's cold in here. I think it's just in the 40s outside, which isn't. That's like I wear shorts in 40s, zippity doo dah. You forgot to do something in your video, so I typed you right back. How do you know I didn't sleep already? That's true. I hope you did, man. You need to get on my schedule. You have it made. Excellent. I'm going to have to do a deep dive on your Cromwell question. I looked at it a little bit, and it looks like I couldn't find anything easily on what happened after Normandy, but what I remember about Normandy was correct. But that was my main focus. I don't really do market guard and stuff. Although it would be pretty interesting to do like a British in 1945 thing, right? Because you got some comets and challengers and shit like that. Even though I'm not a fan of the comets. Anyhow, 77 millimeter gun. The Comet is exactly the same as the King George V class battleship. What are you talking about? I said, well, what I'm talking about is you have this progression of weapons becoming more and more powerful, right? Yeah, the British had 13.5 and 14-inch guns in the First World War. And then they went up to 15s and the Queen Elizabeths and the R-class battleships. And then the Nelsons, Rodney and Nelson, they got built in the 20s, had a 16-inch gun. And the next modern battleship they do goes down to 14. It's like, wait a second, you were on this trajectory and now you drop down. Not a fan of the King George V. Actually, they look good. They're good-looking ships. As a naval wargamer, they have a weak point in their conning tower. And at least the set of rules that I was playing is conning tower built turret specifically were places that you could get a magazine explosion. And a 4.5-inch conning tower armor was just a weak point for those things. Anyhow, long story. The Comet, 75 millimeter gun in all the Shermans and the Cromwell. These guys get the 76. The Brits get some of them. They create the awesome 17-pounder. I don't think anybody has anything bad to say about the 17-pounder. It's better than the Panther's gun. I mean, that's saying a lot. I don't know if the HE was better than the Panther's gun, but penetration-wise, it's marginally better than the Panther's gun. And then it drops to 77, which is shittier than a 17-pounder and shortish again. I'm like, maybe it was for production reasons, but I can't get excited about that. It's hard to get excited about that. Uh, you're not that early of a riser. Funny thing, as I said, I want to build a Firefly. Sprue Brothers. As funny as the Firefly, Sprue Brothers sent me an email saying they have a 20% off Ryefield models sale this weekend, and Ryefield makes the Firefly I want. Try wearing shorts. I could, as long as my chest is warm. You know, I love. I've said this before. I absolutely love wearing long sleeves. I don't know. I feel better. I feel like I'm more put together. Just can't do it. Just can't do it. There's sissy foots have the heater on. I don't have the heater on. You know, the heater's just a good way to spend money and feel like crap. You know, put on more damn clothes. Wear some clothes, man. So we're going to come back and, I thought I'd weathered this thing. So luckily, I did not. Now, I told you the reason I got the M4A1s, 76, is because they had them at the store. Kind of hard to get something if they don't have it at the store. But they also, I felt like they were priced wrong. Like an old price, you know, because things in inflation and stuff. These were only like $23 Canadian or something like that. So they were like a steal. But I have a feeling that the pricing was probably right because there's a lot of things. I have a feeling this is like their first model that they came out with. Like, for instance, the antenna pod that goes back here. Let me show you on one of these. And I haven't put an antenna on here, probably should. Is in the back of the turret. Here, it's just a little nub, and it's not thick enough that I can like drill and put a piece of wire in there. So I'm probably going to forego that. I don't know. If it really jumps out at me, I put an antenna. Certainly antennas make things look better. Or as they say in the South, antennas. So I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm having mixed feelings about the road wheels. I've always painted them in the past. I didn't on the Stewarts because I feel like I was spending a lot of time on something that ended up getting covered by a wash anyway, by dry brushing anyways. But I think I am going to go back and I'm going to go and paint the road wheels on this one. And then we'll start our weathering escapade. Our weathering escapade on Cagney. I had to shovel another 4 inches of snow we got Friday. That's right. Or the popo comes after you. Big brother come a knocking. Like the last 10 days, I've shoveled more snow than I have in the last few winters. It's that global warming. The Sherman crew forgot to pay their long distance phone bill. Their antenna was repoed. There you go. Was there a repo back in the 40s? What was that thing that they used to have back when I was growing up that was a big layaway? Layaway was a big thing. And then they decided, fuck it, let's give everybody credit, even though they don't pay their bills. How'd that work out? Oh man. Repoed. I had a dream. I had a dream last night, all kinds of different shit. And I was on a cruise. And I was on a cruise and I met some other people, older people. I mean, they weren't old, but they were like 10 years older than me. On a cruise from New York. They were from New York. It sounded like they were from the city. I don't know why I'm telling you this. I just thought about it. Big Brother got me thinking about it. And I remember in the dream asking him, I said, how do you guys deal with all those fucking taxes you got to pay? I mean, I know they pay you guys more money, but how do you deal with all those taxes? Then I woke up. I don't have this secret. I don't have this secret to, all the taxes they pay up there. Unless Big Brother's knocking on my door to give me Aaron Moriarty. That's such a weird last name. Such a Sherlock Holmes last name. They can saw it off. You just saw the Lancer no longer making their resin builds. I was going to grab that farmhouse you were doing before. Lancer. Tony sent you a link on the scale kit on the scale mates. Okay. It does suck. Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, it's just the only advantage, that you guys have up north that we do, and I'm just generalizing. There's exception to everything. I've been to New York. I think it's super cool. I wouldn't want to live there. There is some, it's anyhow. That's a matter for something different. But the only advantage is you guys get paid well that you can make things work, and then when you sell something, it's worth so much more than here that you can come and retire here. But we get to live in God's country our whole life. It's not God's country. It's hot as shit here, okay? But we don't have to shovel anything except roaches. Palmetto bugs, not roaches. You guys have roaches. We have palmetto bugs. They're in your house because there's umpteen billions outside and they work themselves in. Not that, we live in a dirty place. Just that weird last statement. She's all kinds of hot. I thought she was going to. Most people went here and then moved to Florida. Yeah. I thought when I saw the preview, she was going to annoy me. That the actress was going to annoy me. You're moving to Bikini Island. Wow. Has the radiation finally calmed down there, or is it still out of control? I'm scared of invisible shit. And no, I don't mean ghost. Freaking radiation, man. That's creepy. You feel fine. The next thing you know, you're freaking dead. Like, no. I don't like shit like that. Yeah, well, you can work up there, Marcus, and then you get a little older and you can go down to the villages and do the whole wife swap thing that they do down there. That's what I hear, those old people. That's like I've had multiple people tell me, I don't know if it's real or not, but there's the one of the most STD infested places is, according to these people, is the villages. And the villages is basically a town that was created out of nowhere, just north of Orlando, maybe 45 minutes north of Orlando, between us and Orlando. That's, all people from up north money. I don't know that it's super swanky. It's just basically like an old folks suburbia that is, I mean, it's not sealed off like nobody under 50 can go out there. It's just, they have all their own kind of, where they don't have to, it's basically very golf cart friendly. And supposedly those old people are taking too much Viagra or something. I don't know. The actor who plays the geek dude annoys me. Oh, really? I think he's great. Oh, you're talking about he's he's the son of Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan. I find it hard to believe he has a charisma to win a final asset. I don't know. I think he's okay. Huey, yeah, he's Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan's son. I think he's great. I don't like the French dude. He annoys me. I don't like the silent Asian girl. She annoys me. Who else? Mother's Milk's cool. I actually like Mother's Milk more than the main guy. What a Butcher. Butcher just says the C word too much, where it just loses. It doesn't offend me. I'm just like, if you use the nuclear option too much, it just, it just doesn't, it doesn't hold any power, when you use it every other word. We had a guy in the shop there that always used MFer. Everything he said, he just used it in the middle of a sentence, and it's like, Okay, that's like your contraction. Some people go, he would say MF in the middle of it. It's laborer type people. What do you expect? You know? I'd prefer moving close to you and learning to play face of battle. Okay, deal's on. Butcher's the best character. I don't know. He's all right. He just needs to just use some other words. He just loses his powerful. Who's the best character? I don't know who the best character is. The guy that plays Homelander is fucking brilliant. He's he is so brilliant. It's one of those things like, Homelander, between the acting and the writing for it is really, really good. I didn't care for what's her name in the role. Man, what's that woman's name? The one that was originally the director. I didn't care for her, and she ended up making it only through season one. I didn't care for her. I don't think she was a good fit. Please don't spoil it if whatchamacallit's not in it or whatever. The guy from that I keep thinking he's from Brazil, but he's not. I really like him. I'm so terrible with freaking names. I'm just gonna pull up the cast thing here. I don't think about these people all the time. Oh, okay. Here's the Scale Mates thing. Oh, that's a beautiful picture. It actually looks okay with sand skirts. Yeah, I like those big red and white numbers. Ryfield. Never heard of her. Okay, the boys cast. The boys cast. Somebody recommended me that I guess there's a cartoon also. I can't stand cartoons with shit art. Sorry. If I can draw better than that, I don't want to watch the cartoon. The guy that plays the Deep does a really good job too. Giancarlo Esposito. I like Giancarlo Esposito. I don't know if he's still around or not. Yeah, I'm only like 2 episodes in the third season. I just kind of lost momentum, you know? Elizabeth Shue, yeah, she wasn't a good fit for that. She can never stop being a babysitter. That's right. That's right. I watched 2 episodes of season three. Catch up, man. All right, I'll try to do that this week at lunch. The problem is I've been coming home for lunch, and I've been playing 30 minutes of zombie games, playing 30 minutes of State of Decay. Never stop being a babysitter. Oh man, that's funny. Definitely want one of those shows you want to watch with your daughter. Oh, I don't care for what's you call it. Who's the who's the who does she play? I thought she'd be higher on the friggin' list. Maybe she's not in season three. The other girl, the Wonder Woman type character. I didn't think she was worth a damn. I didn't like her acting, and I didn't care for her character, whatever it was. I don't know why she's not shown on here. Her character's last name is January? Annie January. News to me. From one weird last name to another one. Moriarty's not weird. It's just odd. It's like the only thing you think of is Sherlock Holmes' nemesis. What's funny in her original babysitter role, and I don't remember that movie, anything about that movie. The one kid dressed up as a superhero, and in the show she's babysitting actual superheroes. I bet, I bet they tinkered with that. I bet that's part of the backstory of it. She's better, damn heart, better in Hell on Wheels, and as a blonde. Is that biker thing? I couldn't get into that. Felt dirty. She expects my marriage. Move on. There's lots of girls in Pennsylvania. There's lots of pretty girls in Pennsylvania. There's lots of pretty girls everywhere. Um, we'll see how this goes and see if it was worth my effort. I've always done it. And I thought it was a bigger pain in the butt to do this, but with a flow aid, it makes a huge difference. Keeps your brush from dragging. All right, flip to the other side. You know, the nice thing about having the suspension already built isn't actually building it, but it's annoying to cut off cut off and sand road wheels, especially when they're like hidden. Like I don't mind painting. You know, people say, "Man, how do you have the patience to paint like this kind of stuff?" Well, it's real easy. It's fun to do, and it's visible. Okay, it's front and center that you're writing all this stuff on there. You're gonna see it. It's not like this road wheel that you have to like sand off and then make it all even, and then you hide it inside of suspension. So you're doing all this busy work, and nobody's gonna even know that you did that. If you paint the letters on here wrong, everybody will freaking know. So I think it's worthy, but just to do shit, busy work. Yeah, I'm anti busy work. If you're gonna do some work on something, it needs to show. So I don't mind all this suspension being already built because if I had to build it myself, it would have just been busy work. Eshy in their freaking trucks. They make you put all this intricate suspension, sometimes doesn't fit, and it's hidden underneath in a place where unless the truck's flipped over, you're not even going to notice it. You know? Hell on Wheels, the Transcon. Which is the one I'm thinking of? The one that was about the biker one. He hand painted some matte varnish on the Polish machine gun teams, left them in this room, which has a space heater. Looks like it took care of the frosting. What matte varnish are you using? What Polish figures are there? You're doing them in 15s, I take it. Like Fujimi and inside of tanks. Oh yeah, I had what tank was it that I redid? It was my Stug 3G, had a whole interior, and then they give you this machine gun that doesn't even remotely look like an MG34 or 42. So if you can't make the machine gun that's on the pintle mount on this freaking armored vehicle look like a real machine gun, what makes me trust that you're going to have the suspension right? Yeah, Fujimi is weird, and it's funny because I used to think way back in the day they were the shit because they had a really good box art. Fujimi box art is beautiful, is really really good looking. But I'm not really a fan of their kits. But I had them, so I had to fix them. Yeah, I got a Panzer 4H. No, a 4J. I'm sorry. The 4J is theirs. It's funny, the side skirts on some of those 4Js have like the transparent one, almost like a chain link fence, so to speak, mesh, steel mesh. Anyhow, side skirts, Scherzen on it, but the actual Fujimi one is solid plastic, and the mesh stands out. I'm like, yeah, we can't use those. Toss them. I'm not a fan of how Scherzen look on the hull. I just don't. I think it looks, especially if they're all in, it just doesn't look good to me. Speaking of doesn't look good to me, I need to. I should build one of those duck trucks at some point, so I can make a comment about the world's ugliest vehicle. God, those things are ugly. Sons of Anarchy. Yeah, yeah. I tried watching. Oh, Sons of Anarchy is great. Watched like 2 episodes of it. I'm like, no. Uh-uh. Forged in Battle. I haven't looked at their World War II stuff at all. I suspect it's good. Assuming that they used a similar sculptor. Forged in Battle. Great. Something else that comes from jolly old England. Which honestly, the shipping isn't too expensive until you want to buy something 3D printed from one of those guys. And then it's like, $20 minimum. I'm like, I just wanted to try one item. Oh, by the way, I wonder, my thing that's coming from Red China, where is it? I'm going to do an unboxing on it. Will it arrive today? If it got handed to the post office, it won't. Oh, it's not coming from Amazon. It's coming from eBay, which I don't buy on anymore, hardly at all. Track package. Friday at 12:45 yesterday p.m., so right afternoon, it departed the regional distribution center in Orlando. Yeah, I'm fucked. They're going to deliver it on a work day, dickheads. That's okay. I wasn't expecting it until the 26th anyways. So we'll see. We'll see if that's a hit or a miss. If it's a hit, we're going to be doing some desert stuff. Ah, yes, my 6 o'clock alarm in case I oversleep my 5 o'clock one. Yeah, I was on the fence about ordering something from this particular brand. We'll see. It's about a $23 risk. So if it works, then I'll be getting more because that's something I can get. I don't have to get a conversion kit or nothing. Okay, that wasn't too painful. Even though I may have to repaint this, I'm going to go ahead and paint this machine gun. And I'm going to go ahead and paint the fitty. Tree fitty. Not going to fool with the tools. I'm going to putz around with some. This one does not have the rubber block. Maybe. I'm going to leave it as is. I'm not going to paint the other stuff on it. I'm going to putz around with this one. I'm going to paint the track, and by the time I'm done with the track, I can go and paint the road wheel, dry brush this guy and finish him up. All right, what I miss? What I miss? What I miss? What I miss? Is it secure to purchase from international sellers on eBay? Yes. Well, you have an intermediary, you know. So Amazon and eBay, I haven't had a problem with. I would not do fucking Temu or none of that shit. Alibaba, none of that. I wouldn't do none of that stuff, you know. But you know, your purchasing information is kept by Amazon or eBay. So, and you use both of them for domestic stuff. So, I'm ultimately not worried about losing $20. Not that I made a money or anything. I'm worried about, you know, my stuff being compromised, but it's going through an intermediary, one of those two. You know, if it's PayPal, eBay, or Amazon, I'm comfortable with it. So, and it's going through a credit card. It's not going right out of my bank account. So, you know, it's just other checks and balances. Can something go sideways? Sure. I've had, I want to say it's 2 experiences, but I can only think of one bad experience with any of those things. I had a worse experience buying those freaking mats from that guy in the UK. That was a disaster. And I don't know that he was being nefarious or he was just old and incompetent. I don't want to be incompetent when I'm old. I want to be an asshole. Done. Check. You got to give people the right stuff to shut them up, you know? I would not do Temu or none of that other. What's the other? Wish. Nope. No. You can't figure out any of that stuff. You look at their listings and your head, you know, it's like going on the Weather Channel. There's so many dancing things like, hey, look over here, look at this other thing. I'm like, I can't, you know, I have trouble focusing with shit like that, you know? Yeah, Rick was just saying that he bought his first thing on Temu. I'm like, that's like getting raped and they don't let you pick what hole they're going to use. It's like, no thanks. No thanks. But I've ordered the people from that I ordered the S model thing from. I had really good experience with them. But I only ordered from them one time because by the time I found out about them, I'm like, I'm trying to get through my pile of stuff. But the Chinese stuff's all over the place. You know, you got Pegasus, you got S model, you got Trumpeter, you got what else do I have of theirs? I mean, there's lots of other things, but those are the only ones I have. And then we're going to try a new one when it comes in. But the Trumpeter stuff is beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful, except they have this thing about not giving you hatches that are openable. So there's something to keep in mind. But trumpeter, I have 2 or 3 trumpeter things. I guess 2. And they're beautiful. This model stuff's incredible and give you a lot of decals. Sometimes they're the wrong color. I got some yellow these decals that are supposed to be yellow that ended up being orange. Maybe the colors are different in China. The Pegasus stuff is a mixed bag. I built stuff that's pretty good, and their keyed tigers are like the worst. One of the worst things I've ever built. Maybe the worst thing I've ever built. It's worse than this paint thing. Which the problem with the paint thing is just has no tolerance for error. And it's a material that's kind of easy to break. So you're trying to force something that you shouldn't be forcing. But what I'm actually surprised on with the plastic models is there's lots of really bad instructions. There's lots of instructions that tell you to do things in the order that I wouldn't do them in. Or they're missing steps. Actually, that's mainly Plastic Soldier Company. The Plastic Soldier Company instructions are not great. Luckily, there's not that many moving parts, and we have the internet to guide us, but and I'm a big fan of their stuff, and I'll be buying more of their stuff, but they got some problems. I believe their Honey model actually has the I'm going to call them sponson machine guns, even though they're not sponsons. The extra ones in the hull. I believe it has the extra ones in the hull, and they didn't have them, to my knowledge. That was the ones that the U.S. used in the Philippines, and I think the Guadalcanal one as well. And then they're like, why do we have all these machine guns when we can't fire them all at once? But the Honeys never had. They had a coax and a hull and an AA machine gun. That's it. They didn't have those. Didn't have all those 50 machine guns. 55. They didn't have the extra 2. Barring any miracles, I do believe this is the last trade-in I shall make to Noble Knight. Honestly, I'm shocked I was able to get them to buy all my used miniatures I didn't want. Yeah. Now I just got the few packs of World War II 50mm. I feel like a fresh start in the hobby. Yeah. Ah, you didn't foil me, Hart. I figured out you said fresh, even though half of it was missing. I hate when they redo shit and turn your world upside down. I just found out recently, in the last month or so, I'm having so much trouble with Excel files at work. We have Excel files that we share a lot. They're kind of the crux to what we do. We use Excel a lot for spreadsheets and keeping track of things and things like that. And I'm having this nightmare that happens from time to time where I'll go and I know I've saved something and it's not there anymore. And it's what I tracked it down is there was this new version of Excel that came out, I don't know, a couple of years ago or something like that. Maybe even a year ago. Something along that about when the problem started happening. And the default save is to a OneDrive, which we don't even have. And I don't even know what the fuck that is. That's newfangled computer shit. You and you smokers with your freaking cloud and crap. I don't think in that kind of stuff. I'm not computer illiterate, but there's just some concepts I don't care to understand. And that's one of them. And that whole spiritual realm, you leave that shit for somebody else. So I was having all these files come up missing, having to redo stuff. And it was getting, it was making my frustrating work that I already have to do at work even more frustrating. And that's what it tracked down to, is it was putting everything in this. The default save was on this drive that we didn't have it, so it was hiding it somewhere on my computer. That is, I miss Windows XP, where you could find all the files, not Windows for Dummies. What was it, Windows 7, that had these huge freaking icons, like it's freaking Duplo. You have Lego and you got Duplo. Yeah, Duplo. It's like the freaking toddler's computer thing. And I finally got that resolved. But man, and I still have to, like, the same way I've been saving stuff for 30 years, I can't do that anymore. I got to go in and save it a different way, or I end up not having the latest copy of something. And the stuff that I'm using is constantly changing. Depending on, I want this on this day. No, I want this here. This needs to move here. So it's constant correction. There's no autopilot. So that was extremely frustrating. Even know what that stupid heart's for. Let's click it. I bet it won't even let me do it. I could put heart, a laughing, some kind of celebration, a gassed symbol, and 100%. So if I click 100%, it won't even let me. YouTube chat. This chat cannot be performed while inside Streamlabs desktop. To interact with chat, you can open this chat in a web browser. Fuck you. That's like when you open up a file. Would you like to update it? And you hit update. We can't update this. Then why did you give me the option? Technology is great when it works. When it doesn't, I wish it was never invented. That's why I just stick to painting. Until I wake up one day with an aneurysm. I don't know if you can wake up with an aneurysm, but anyways, and I can't paint, then we're going to have problems. But all of a sudden, my paintbrushes aren't going to start not work one day to the next. That's why I stick to this. This doesn't have to be perfect. It's not really visible. Okay, flip to the other side. And then we will go and weather Mr. Cagney. Non-cordial. Say it like it is. Anyone in a stupid painting style slap chop is. I've heard reference to it, but no idea. It sounds like some stupid Warhammer. Stupid painting style slap chop. I don't know. Is that you're not talking about that rapid paint, whatever. I ruffled some feathers many years ago when the Foundry paint system first came out in the 90s. Remember, I've always painted either 15 millimeter or 20 millimeter figures. And these guys paint these 28 millimeter. You can paint things however you want, okay? But all the rage, and I'm not trying to change how anybody paints. I really don't care. But these people that would paint these 28 millimeter figures, I'm not talking about Games Workshop stuff, because the guys that get to paint the Games Workshop stuff, they do a phenomenal job. Yeah, they've put way too much effort into what their figures look like compared to how much time they spend on the tabletop. It's like, 36 hours for a figure, and it looks beautiful. Okay, odd or even, he's dead. Like, wait a second. You need to have a little bit more detail in your fucking game if I'm going to spend that kind of time on. If I'm going to pay those prices for your figures and spend that amount of time making them look like that. And then your game is like, pick a number between 1 and 3. It's like, pick a number between 1 and 3. 2. You got hit. Oh, wait a second. It's a Tuesday. You didn't get hit. What? But back in the 90s, that whole triad system came out with Foundry paints, and there was a painter. I think he's a pretty good painter, but his style, I don't know. For his faces, man, his faces look like a meat cutting chart. And I said that to somebody, and they got so offended. And I'm like, look, the figure's face is 3 times bigger than the faces I do, and I really like doing faces. And at the time, I was probably doing 8 colors for the face. I know that's freaking extreme, but I like doing faces because, it'll make or break a figure. And these guys were doing a face that's 3 times bigger than the ones I'm doing, and they're using only 3 colors with it. It looks like a meat cutting chart. Well, it's meant to look good at 3 feet away. I'm like, yeah, but if you get closer or you're nearsighted like me, it's like a horror movie, Okay, just looked it up. They prime black. Okay, I'm good so far. Dry brush, dark gray, and then white over the miniature. Okay, so that's that zenithal bullshit. Okay, and use the stupid speed paint. Slap chop is where you prime black, do a rough dry brush, white, then use Does it not look good? I prime your 15 millimeter in black, light dry brush of white to bring out the details, make them easier to paint. Am I doing a slap chop? I don't know. Good morning, Jacques. Don't have to take anybody to court today, do you? Are you someone who takes people to court, or are you people that defend people in court? No more lawyer jokes. Jack's here. Well, in this country, we need less attorneys and more duels. We need to solve everything by duels like we used to. There was a lot less problems. It's like, I'm not letting you get away with that. That's pistols at 30 paces. You only have to deal with one asshole when you're done with it, not both of them. Jacques, it's so far away. For you, it's what? It's half a day early, and it's another season. Summertime. So when I went to Canada, there was a lot of Australians there. And I poked fun at my buddy who's in Australia, and I said, I never seen so many damn convicts up here. And he said there's a big Australian population that apparently are here in the wintertime, and then they leave, and then they get to go to Australia for their wintertime. That sounds like a pretty good gig to me. Double wintertime, Defend, but have prosecuted as well. I actually wanted to be a lawyer as a kid. Should have considered as an adult. Are you a keyboard commando? I don't like to argue with people. I don't, because there's just no. I don't feel like my purpose in life is I'm on a crusade to convert people. If you want to put Cromwell tanks in frickin' North Africa, that's your problem. I may lose sleep over it, knowing that you're doing that, but I don't care one way or another. I'm actually more interested in people not telling me what to do, more than me telling other people what to do. I don't care. People aren't going to listen to me. Just leave me the hell alone. Just don't tell me what to do. The only thing lawyerly that I like is I had a really good teacher in high school for geometry. Geometry, where are you going with this? Proof theorems. Proof theorems is basically, in my simple mind, basically lawyer type things where you're trying to prove a case. And I actually was Good at them, but I'm going to give the credit to the teacher. The teacher was a frick. The teacher was like an egg. This when would this have been? This would have been 1988. 1988 or 1989, one of those 2 years. And this guy was trapped in 1952. He had his freaking pants all the way up to his belly button. He was an old egghead. It was an old egghead, nerdy teacher, but he had a lot of energy, and he was freaking awesome. He was one of the two best teachers I've ever had in my entire life, and I wish him well if he's still alive. But he knew how to teach, and my wife hates proof theorems. I hate the quadratic formula. That is the Antichrist. The quadratic formula, ketchup, communists, and otherists. What else? I'm sure there's something else in there. Avoid the heat altogether, yeah. I wouldn't mind if I painted late war German tanks in Panzer Gray and claim it's a black and white photo. It's just a waste of your efforts, man. I did see a guy on the Ministers page that did an entire World War II play set that he had, and it was all in black and white. It looked great, but it's like, when I'm looking through photos and I see black and white photos, I tune out. I just don't get sucked in by it. I don't like black and white. I'm missing something. If I was a dog, I'd probably like it, because it would look the same as it always does. Think about it. Supposedly. That's what they say. You know who likes black and white? Bitches. Oh, man. Yeah, ketchup's evil. It smells bad. It's the only tomato thing I don't like. Tomatoes are great. Cocktail sauce is great. Barbecue sauce is generally good. I had one coworker who would go and he wasn't even close to my office, and I have an office that closes, thank you, Jesus. And he'd stink up the whole damn office. That pungent, vinegary, ah. Here we go. Picking a fight. Yep, refuse to take. I refuse to take being called a bitch by a Hannibal lover sitting down. Being called a bitch. What, did that go over your head? Don't tell me that joke went over your head. Heinz tomato ketchup, something is great. No. Well, that's why we let you live over on that continent. Look, I live with two people that, well, one of them's at college, that like ketchup, and I can't stand the stuff. I'm like, don't open that stuff over near me. I had a hamburger one time that you got to keep it simple sometimes when you go through a drive-through. I was on a trip somewhere. I forget where I was going. I have a feeling I was probably going to Miami to meet up with the wife or girlfriend at the time. And I was in a hurry, so I went through, I think it was Wendy's. I know it was Wendy's. And, I like all kinds of stuff on my hamburger, but if you complicate it, they'll give you everything you don't and none of what you do. So I'm like, okay, just give it to me plain, no ketchup or whatever. And it had ketchup on it, stunk up the car, I threw it out the window. Like, I can't have that smell. I'm like, I'm like 8 miles down the road on the interstate. I'm like, I can't have that. I don't like throwing away food, but I'm not letting that thing stink up my whole car. And Canadians put ketchup on ketchup. I gave them a good tongue lashing about that. Something about the French should have taken over the whole rest of the country or whatever. They would have straightened that shit out. Heinz tomato blood. That's what it says. Kryptonite ketchup. Yeah, I can't stand it. Cocktail sauce is great, though. It's also made by Heinz, I'm pretty sure. Some of it. My wife feels that way about mustard. I don't put yellow mustard on things because it's just too overpowering. You know. And the irony is people that like ketchup but hate tomatoes. And I know several of them. Tomatoes are freaking great. I mean, obviously, if one's not in good shape or, rotten, yeah, that's no good. But it's always with the texture. Oh, stop being such a pussy. There's nothing I don't eat because of the texture. The only thing that comes close is I don't prefer sushi if it's too mushy. You need to have some crunch in. Otherwise, you're like, I'm eating something somebody's already eaten. Okay. That little guy can go back. Debating between 3 games at Noble Night. Oddly enough, all 3 are in Russia, with 2 in World War II and 1 Napoleonics. Don't do Napoleonic one. You already got enough Napoleonic shit. Only crusty old people play Napoleonics. I like tomatoes, but I can't consume any of the seeds. Really? I don't even think of them as having seeds, but I guess they do. I guess they are all ate up with seeds. Never thought about that. No, you don't think about things until they affect you. I actually encountered one person. Well, I didn't take, it's not an official poll, but, in my dealings, I encountered one person that did not like strawberries. And it was, they said, why? I said, because of the seeds. And I think, there's seeds in strawberry? Oh, it's like, yeah, all over the outside. I'm like, okay, I'll eat your share then. Seeds and nuts are a big no-no. Nuts. You can't have nuts of any kind. No peanuts, cashews. Wait, peanuts aren't a nut, right? They're a legume. I've heard. I don't know. That falls into the peanuts aren't a nut. Well, it's in the fucking name. Well, Pluto is not a planet. What is it? It's a dwarf planet, idiot. I'm like, well, let's see. Planet's in the fucking name of dwarf planet, idiot. This isn't a tank. Oh, really? What is it? It's a light tank. Go fly a kite up your ass, pal. Make sure you have enough twine. I'll be here all week, folks. I need to get some new fucking paints, man. I'm running out of this shit. I better write myself a note. Nah, I won't remember to read it. I need to write myself a note to remember to read a note. Nope, unfortunately not cocktail peanuts, but they're a huge trigger for tuberculosis. Worth it. I don't like cocktail peanuts. Back in the day, in the early 90s, Late 80s, early 90s. It's kind of weird. I associate with a lot of good things that time period, but I was basically poor. So, you know, I wasn't employed well. Let's put it that way. But back in the day, you'd go to Busch Gardens and it's funny how you remember something so trivial. And when you left the park, they gave you a little sack of peanuts, and it was Eagle snacks because it was the same Eagle on the Anheuser-Busch, and it was like honey roasted ones, and they were like dust. Oh my God, those things were good. But the ones you get like free at like steakhouses and shit like that, they're not worth eating. I mean, I eat them because they're freaking there, you know. 'Cause that's the problem is you give me nothing to do and put food in front of me, I'm going to end up consuming it. That's just, sorry. That's what makes me me. You're going to go with Napoleon against Russia. Okay. Somebody like Shakos. So how's that good? How's that Napoleon movie? Oh my God. Oh my God. I'll watch it one day, but when everybody has the same opinion, it's like it's not a positive one. It's not a good sign. Oh man. I'm telling you, I knew it was gonna. I'm not right all the time, but I knew it was gonna be a flop when they cast him. He just doesn't look like Napoleon. I don't have a problem with him as an actor. He ain't Napoleon. Sorry, sorry, dude. I actually do like Shakos. It's a way for short people to feel taller. I'm a big fan of uniforms, the horse and musketry. Yeah, I'm not watching that farce of a movie. Well, once you know it's a piece of shit, and you don't have anything better to do, and you didn't pay any money to see it, I think it's worth watching because maybe you'll find some value in something of it. You know? But I think part of it is just realizing it's going to be crap. So if you know it's going to be crap, it's just easier to swallow, in my opinion. You have a crap ton of 28 millimeter polyonics, but painting them is a pain. Much prefer 1/72nd. The nap uniforms are too ornate. I never got into the period. I don't hate the period by any stretch of the imagination. I just never got into the period. Hate the period for me would fall into something like American Civil War. Just like crappy uniforms, technology, I'm not really interested. Bad hairstyles and mustaches. Bad facial hair. And crappy uniforms. And they're all Americans. I'm already American. I want to role play a little bit. I want to do bad freaking accents. That's half the fun of playing freaking war games, is doing bad accents. Bad accents. I meant to say, over the top accents. I do better accents than anybody I play with. That's saying a whole lot. Just a little bit of a dusting here. Look, comrade, Soviet Russia. In Soviet Russia, the hat wears you. That's right. The butt wipes you with its ass. What? Hey, maybe I'll be inspired to watch Fury again after pain. No. I tried about 6 months ago. It was terrible. I absolutely hated. I hated everybody on that crew. Everybody. I was hoping the entire tank crew, they killed everybody in it. And it's funny because I saw it in the movie theater. I didn't have that impression, but I'm watching it with my daughter, and I'm like, these guys suck. This isn't the greatest generation. Of course, we won't really know what these look like until I seal them, because there's a couple little like glossy spots that where I put the this shit, the clear coat, whatever I call the future floor polish on it. It all evens all that out. Okay, now we do the turret. Got to put a little bit on the turret. It looks out of place, and then we'll do the lighter color on it. The whole story of Fury doesn't make sense. Yeah, I didn't pay attention about the story. I was too stuck into the freaking characters I couldn't stand. The other thing is, once you find out something about an actor, or I guess it'd be with a person also, there's some things you just can never disremember. Misremember? Forget? So if you think Brad Pitt, what's the first thing I think of? That there was a rumor going on that he didn't wear deodorant. They stank all the time. No. That's an unforgivable offense. Gamer boy. This one has no writing on the turret, which is fine. There's lots of them that didn't have that. Actually, no stars on the side of it either. Cool. Was I supposed to put this one on it? Yeah, we can mix them out later if you want. It doesn't really matter. I really wanted to put a tank commander in one of these, but it just didn't work out. I would have had to modify this hatch a whole lot, so it's just easier to not have it on there. let's get the Iraqi sand. What do I use for the sealing coat? Well, I used to use Model Master for the longest time, and then Rust-Oleum went and screwed that pooch. So now I use the Vallejo stuff through the airbrush, and I just apply it really thin. I don't think it works better, but it doesn't smell bad. Yeah, but it has no smell, and it's just what I have. So I bet AK makes one as well. And it seems to work okay. That's what I used on the Russian trucks. Worked pretty good. Flat as shit, you know. Works well. Just something to protect your all the stuff that you've done. I'm gonna paint the road wheels. I don't know if it's even that noticeable, but it just takes a little bit of time, and I don't really get a thrill out of cutting corners. I just don't want to do busy work. And if I can tell a difference, I'd rather do it than not. Lancer Miniatures. I'll have to see what you were saying earlier about them. They're out of business. Sorry, it took me a long time to circle back to that. Yeah, I want to get some 3D printed stuff, but I'm afraid of. You know, we all have habits, and my habit is if I get overwhelmed with stuff, I get into I don't know what to do. I end up not doing anything, and I don't want to fall into that trap. And ordering a bunch of stuff is not the way forward. For me, at least. You know, the Sherman is not a very attractive vehicle. I wouldn't call it ugly, but if you put some effort into it, they can really have a lot of personality. And like I've said before, I really get kind of a kick out of making things look interesting that other people kind of dismiss. You know, it's real easy to paint the German vehicles. They kind of paint themselves. They're iconic, they're cool looking, but there's lots of other stuff that's not German vehicles that are interesting. Let's see, do we have one that's not painted? Yeah, I don't know if you guys can tell the difference there. Lighting isn't the best right here, but. And now we paint up all the little tools and shit. The fitty. Paint up the fitty. Best recent war movie to me was Midway. God, I hated it. Hacksaw Ridge, watched half of it. Greyhound. Wow. Yeah. Well, different preferences. Greyhound, I was disgusted that a movie about the Battle of the North Atlantic was not a British destroyer. I'm sorry. It just... And I'm not one of those people, it's got to have Americans in it, or I'm interested. I'm already American. Americans aren't in everything. They were freaking they were 3 years late to the fucking war. Hacksaw Ridge, I only watched half of it. Midway, I really didn't like Midway. The first one was, wow, I'd have to watch it again. That whole bomb where it skips across it and the lighting was weird. Yeah. I refused to watch a movie about a coward who hid behind religious reasons for not fighting. Yeah, it's not really something I'm interested in. I don't care how many Marines pull off that ridge, up that battle part. Seems like it would be boring. Good luck making the Kettenkrad interesting. Oh, it is kind of a weird vehicle, isn't it? It seems like they were really expensive for what it did. What can it carry? 3 people? Best war movie? I don't know. What do you want to watch a movie for? I don't want to watch it for a story. I want to watch it. I want to see stuff in action. I want to see tactics and equipment in action, in color. That's what I see the movie for. That's what I see a war movie for. I want to see the stuff in action. So, like, the perfect thing for me is, like, what? Episode 3 of Band of Brothers. And I'm not an American-centric person. I like the Eastern Front the most. But the Band of Brothers, the Carentan episode, there was a scene, some part in the episode, I need to watch it again, where they're huddled, they're getting ready to storm the town, and they're on the reverse slope of this hill, and the unit is split half on each side of the road. And when they give the order to go, and some of the filming is like a cameraman following behind guys as they're going in and doing tactics and fire and maneuver, and they get into a house and they follow them through the house, and there's stuff in there. It's like a store or something like that, like a bakery, or I don't remember what it is. That's the kind of shit I want to see. I want to see like 4 hours of that. I don't need a fucking story. That's what I want to see. I want to see like stuff in action, fire and maneuver. That's what I want to see things for. Like, oh, that's what that really looks like. All the stuff that we've done in real life in war games. I want to see what it looks like in real life. That's what I'm there for. I'm not there for a morality lesson or, political discussion or... I am simply there for that kind of stuff. And it doesn't matter what the period is. It could be ancients. It could be, I guess Napoleonics. Not like I'm going to take that to the Napoleonic battlefield because I don't play Napoleonic games, but that is my... Did I make that stand on its end? Nearly. If there's a love story in there, that's fine, but that's not what I'm there for. I'm not offended by a love story, just that's not what I'm there for. Equipment in action. So if you watch a movie and it has the wrong equipment, that's literally like the worst thing you could do for me because you're not seeing what's really there. So, the movie Pearl Harbor, I know everybody panned it, right? I saw it way back in the day. The worst part about the movie Pearl Harbor is the scenes where they included modern warships in when they panned. To me, that's the worst part of the whole movie, The Pacific. I started watching it again and I went like one episode in it. I'm going to finish watching it, but I'm just not a fan of the Pacific Theater. I just don't think the Japanese are as interesting an enemy as the Germans. The Germans are really, the World War II Germans are really the perfect enemy. It's going to be hard to beat that. Let's hope so. We don't need to fight people like that again. Let's just keep them in movies. I heard some people saying it just some good Japanese World War II kid in the Godzilla movie. I saw a screenshot off of something that reminded me of that, and I'm like, oh, that looks like one of the Maya class cruisers. And I'm starting to think, well, I got to find out what year that takes place in, because I think they were all destroyed in the war. Atago, Takao, Maya, and oh, what's the fourth one? I gotta look that up. That's gonna drive me crazy. It's the one that doesn't see much action. Yeah, I know all this stuff from Wargaming. Maya class cruiser. Maya class cruiser. And don't give me any modern ones because they renamed them. What's the fourth one? Chokai. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's right. Atago was the one that was the flagship for, is it Vice Admiral Congo? He'd come down the slot and he'd have a battleship with him, and his command was in the freaking heavy cruiser. Not the battleship. Well, the heavy cruiser is modern. The battleship's freaking, 30 years old at that point. Like Pearl Harbor has a lot to do with Cape Beckinsale. She is incredible. She's incredible. I also like Underworld. Yeah, I don't know. I only watched one of those. I'm trying to make heads or tails out of what's what on this hatchet. One of these is the gun sight, and the other one's the machine gun. I'm pretty sure the machine gun's the one up here on the right. We'll punt on that for now. All right, we need some wood. But I was intending on watching the whole Pacific thing again. It was on, I think, Amazon or something like that. I saw it I saw it live while it was happening. And I think part of the reasons why I didn't like it so much is I don't want to war game that the Pacific, and that's kind of the tie-in. I don't want to war game a beach landing. I have no interest in wargaming that. Doesn't matter what beach landing it is. It's just a something that doesn't really excite me. It just seems very two dimensional. Seems like a good solitaire game. Okay, everybody's landing on the beach, and I'll just control the folks that are shooting back at you, getting bombarded with 14 and 16-inch shells, and smaller stuff too, but those LVTs are unattractive also. Oh man, how did I forget to do that? I'll come back and fix that. Ah, it's over here. Hidden in plain sight. That's what? Talk about colorblind. I was right next to it. Yeah, you get outside of like 6 inches, I can't. I see blurry as shit if I got my contacts out. Okay, man. Have a good one. Thanks for stopping by so early. Appreciate you. See if you can find out what the deal is on those Cromwells. I know as wargamers, we want answers that sometimes it's kind of hard to find. Like what tank was in what unit at this battle? We don't have it. We just wrote down tanks. You just wrote down tanks. How am I supposed to model them in 1/35th scale if you do shit like that? Come on, man. Think of the future. All right. Let's get the metallic color. Seven o'clock and it's still dark as shit. See, it's going to be spring forward, right? That's going to make it worse. It'll be 8 o'clock now. Why do you got to tamper with the time? Just pick a time and leave it alone. Time temper. Time temperers. I was getting ready to say I was on some kind of forum and this guy asked. I didn't chime in or anything but it reminded me. That you were tools attached to a vehicle before or after they were painted. I think the reference was in like German camouflage or something like that. The guy was doing a King Tiger or something like that. And it's the jury's still out. Some of them were done both ways, but the reality is it's your opportunity by painting tools like they weren't painted on. Gives it an opportunity. Why? Drink. By painting tools like they weren't on the vehicle when the vehicle was painted is an opportunity to add a little bit of color and add something of interest onto the tank. And if you take one of those Soviet vehicles, you've seen several times they just take all the tools on and they just spray the whole thing. It just looks like you don't know what you're doing. Like you cut a corner and you didn't do a very good job at it. To me, it just doesn't look good. I think the deal was I used the decals for B Squadron, 2nd Battalion, Welsh Guards, Armored Recon. Well, you're safe on that because they used Armored Recon. And if I had my rules here ready, you made me almost want to look at the Armored Division for command decision. The TO and E, I kept that. I think Chadwick, I don't know how accurate it is, but I liked his take on that stuff. The TO and E tables from command decision. Yeah, I always thought that at least in that version of the rules, the British units that had the worst morale in 1944 was the Desert Rats. They're like one step below morale than everybody else. They're probably fucking tired of fighting and fighting for 4 fucking years. Those like that. The most experienced unit has the worst morale. All right, I will be right back in a few minutes. Get something to drink, and I will go ahead and be right back and we will be back shortly. Okay, and we're back. I was wondering, no wonder it was cold earlier. It was 61 in the house, which, isn't really cold, but I'm hardly wearing any clothes. I work better with a minimum of clothing. I don't want to paint long sleeves. Could trip over something. Yeah, I'll have to look into that. Cromwell use. Armored Recon. I'm not a fan of the Cromwell tank. I don't think it's superior to the Sherman really in any way. Other than, I guess it looks interesting. It's the only cruiser tank I don't like, actually, because I do love Crusaders and A13s. I think they look sleek. Just not a fan of the Cromwell. But if you're going to send an Armored Recon battalion, yeah, that's a hell of a vehicle to have an recon battalion. That's, you encounter anything, you're pretty much going to knock it out. The Germans got freaking shitty tanks with shitty armored cars with 20 millimeter cannons. So, other than the occasional Puma, which you're unlikely to run into. Yeah, Cromwell's freaking awesome as a recon vehicle. Absolutely. And it's got a low silhouette. So, just not a fan of that 75 millimeter gun. Same as the Shermans. Probably would have liked it better if it had a 6-pounder. 6-pounder actually had better penetration than the 75 millimeter Sherman gun. Go figure. A 57 millimeter gun that penetrates better than a 75. And a 75 is not that short. I think it's like 40 something caliber or whatever. It's not that short of a weapon. But, I forgot another thing. Let's see, do we still have some live paint here? Nope. Got to open the pot again. Mallet there. All right, I'm going to go in with the olive drab paint because there's some stuff I need to touch around the 50, like the cradle that the 50 fits on. That should be OD. And then that's pretty much done. Pretty much done. So let's grab our olive drab color. See how good I'm at this. Is it this one? Yep. Well, I'm good at one thing. I can go to sleep now. Well, a lot of it is, I know where it isn't. It's not down here. And of course we're talking about wall of color. And they don't organize anything in particular other than we got greens down here, blues, reds over there, yellows in the middle, and then this section down in here is the AK paints. So, you got like your German 3-color schemes and stuff like that. And that's worked out well for me so far. Okay, so we've got our olive drab. I'm going to make sure to put a little bit of black in it because I don't want it to be, I want to work these areas up. I don't want to start like with the brightest because we want to highlight, we want the highlights where we want them. And I'm going to leave it on the whole. I'm going to leave the, no, that's too dark. I'm going to leave the turret on the tank while I do this because it gives me something more of it to hold on to. Well, something you don't think about. All these other tanks have different machine guns, and they're all pretty much equivalent, caliber wise, right? I mean, some fire faster than others, but they're all somewhere in the 7.62, 7.92, 30 caliber range. This has a 50 caliber as an AA gun. But you don't think, you're fighting against tanks. It's a light cannon. You can take out trucks and stuff like that. You got guys in a house that are being a problem. You don't want to use an HE round, or maybe you're low on HE. And shoot the 50 into the house. It goes into the walls. You could suppress them effectively. That's a hell of a weapon. And then when you start talking about aircraft, you're like, oh, it only had 150 caliber machine gun. That's nothing. Yeah, you need more than one, but you're trying to bring down another aircraft. You're missing a lot. Now the ammo box, I have a feeling the ammo box is going to be the same color. Let's look at 50 caliber machine gun. 50 cal. MG Sherman. I feel in the box will probably be the same color. Now I don't want to see black and white photos, although this is a pretty cool black and white photo. This is actually a very cool black and white photo. Hey, Sherman's gonna be cool. These look really good. It's like a Sherman leading a bunch of No, that second tank actually looks like a Chafee. Firing the 50 cal from a Sherman tank. How often was this actually done? It's freaking all this advertising on this freaking page. What I need is a color photo. I needed to do that search on images. There we go. There's a scene off of Fury. Yeah, everything's going to be the same color. Maybe I'll lighten it up a little bit more. And I'm going to assume the top of the hatch is closed on it. if this is a radio antenna, I'll drill that out. I was thinking the radio antenna's on the back of the turret. M4A176W. Man, all these are... Now here's one in this location. And what you really can't do is attach these things on a die-cast model. I got a couple of them that are die-cast. Drilling in die-cast is just like a death wish. Just like, that is just really unsatisfying. This is the side that actually looks like it's got the antenna on it. This looks like there's a little nub there. And it's kind of hard to tell from a side view which side it's on. Let's click on this one. Well, it's April 45. You know what? Let's go to the squadron signal book. There's one back here, and 76mm guns are in the back. M4A1. Yeah, it's not even listed here. It doesn't even show. It's got the two spots. Here looks like they're reversed. Maybe there's some variations depending on which radio set you used. That's a bridge too far for me. Yeah, it's like this one. This is like the one I have. It has this one that's a little taller on that side. Some of them don't have them. I'm gonna just leave it off then. No point in killing yourself on something that it's not that common a device to begin with. So this guy's pretty much good to go, with the exception of getting sealed, putting on a base. Supposed to be a cloudy day because it's sure taking a long time to get bright out there. All right, this is the one that we painted the tracks on. Cool. Well, we're doing one at a time. So let's go ahead and paint the road wheels, and we'll have the road wheels done, and then we can start Doing the fun stuff. Start doing the fun stuff. Okay, we need black for this. Oh, we already have some. Okay, cool. And let's go with the thinner one. When did they start putting the extra armor plate on the sides to help protect ammo storage? So, and good morning to you, Kevin. I'm not sure. I don't think that all of them had it. As far as I've noticed, I don't think I've ever seen an M4A3 with it. I think it's just been M4A1s and M4s, especially M4s. That's predominantly what it is. But the M4s are, they're not cast, they're the welded ones. They tend to have it. I think it actually looks good. As a matter of fact, some of the M4s that I have I've added logs to the side of them, which I just thought, well, you never know when you're going to need a log, but no, it was actually to detonate Panzerfaust or something like that before it actually hit the tank itself, thereby maybe saving its life. I had no idea. I guess the Soviets did it too. I just thought, well, you'll never know when you're going to need a log. I guess I was just thinking too mundanely. Maybe they needed it to cross a trench or something like that. Not that it was additional applique armor. I have a feeling they did not have them in Tunisia. Didn't last long enough, so. And I suspect it's probably when they started to encounter Panthers. In any kind of numbers. Although I don't think that extra armor would have mattered that much against a Panther. Because they're on the side, right? So, well, most of the guns they're going to encounter are going to be 75 millimeter L48, because all the standard anti-tank gun, that's the size of it, is the Pac 40. Pack 40 is actually an L46, and the similar gun in the Panzer IV is a 48. I don't know. I don't know why the reason the difference of two calibers is. I think they're the same freaking cannon. Might be a carryover from Command Decision. He lists them as two separate entries. But on the side, in 1944, the side of the Sherman's pretty much toast. And it's not that it has bad armor, but it's the side armor. I mean, there's nobody's side armor in 1944 that's worth a damn on the Western Front, except maybe a King Tiger, and still it can be penetrated. You need to keep your front to the enemy, or you're going to have problems. It isn't 1942 anymore. Where not everything is guaranteed to go in. Okay, so one of these is going to be Chaplin. The other one's going to be Costello. I'm going to do this one as Costello because Costello is going to be longer to write than Chaplin. And I'm going to write it here in the middle, whereas Chaplin's going to have to be written up here at the front. So, using that kind of logic, that's why I'm doing it. And which one's she going to be? C-22? C-22 Costello. Oh, but we're actually going to... Weren't we going to put that on the turret? Or we're only going to have one with a turret on it. This can be Chaplin and have it on the turret. I guess this one will be on the hull. All right, let's go ahead and get to the writing. Let's go ahead and take get any extra goop on this off. All this extra stuff that the hand sanitizer is just gonna make disappear. We'll neutralize it with the water. know if that comes out okay, or you can see it. It's pretty consistent. That's what we want. We want it to be consistent. All right, now I'll make up a fake number. 301813, so we use this one. Okay. Sometimes feel like I shouldn't have even gotten into doing the serial numbers on there, but heck with it, I don't mind. Fourth one. Okay, I'll write this down so I can remember what side I'm doing on the other one. This is 302 43118. And then hold this so we don't scuff up that number and have to redo it again. Not the end of the world, it's just wasting time doing something that's already done. Two. Most of this is going to be covered anyways. Just so it looks like there's something underneath there when you do that. I think I'm going to flip these two turrets. I'm going to put C22 on the turret. I hear they put the star right over the ammo storage. German used the star over like a target. Well, they could have. There's ammo storage all along the hull. There's ammo storage. In the middle, there's ammo storage. On the side of the turret, there's ammo storage. There's the ready racks up there. I don't think I'm going to do one of the tanks that has like the paint smeared over it. It just doesn't look right. Even when you do it right, it doesn't look right. Okay. So we're going to start with a dark gray. I mean a light gray, I'm sorry. I'm going to put C22 over here. Well, I know where I want the I don't want to start over here and end up encroaching on this this piece. So I'm going to make sure that the 2 is up here in front of it. C22 like this, and then likewise on this side we're going to need to start with the 2s because I don't want to end up running out of space. So the number ends about here. And now we will add, where's that yellow? Where's that yellow bastard? It's a nice change to the yellow numbers. What happened here? I had this stuff and it dried up. And then we're going to go ahead and look and find out where the breaks are at this point before we do the final color. Okay, so the 2 has a break across the bottom and the top. Do we have a C? Yeah, the C's all the way through. All right, so let's get the olive drab. Is it still alive? Nope, it dried up already. Well, that's the thing with acrylic paint, is it dries quickie. Quickie? It dries quickie. Okay, so the C is top and bottom? Yeah, okay. Let's paint a gap there, paint a gap there. All right, 2, it's across there. Where's the other one on the 2? Top. Okay. Now when we put that last color on there, we're conscious of where those gaps are and we don't cover them over. I'm amazed in the Ukraine war how easy the drones penetrate tank armor, sometimes to usually ignite the ammo. I'd imagine a lot of the hits come in through the roof. Drones kind of take the excitement out of stuff though, right? I mean, it's kind of... Drones are kind of like to the modern land battlefield the way aircraft carriers are to World War II. Like, I want to see the big guns pound each other. I mean, I don't want to see aircraft go and attack a battleship. I'm not saying they weren't effective weapons. On the contrary, they were so effective that they kept the, if one side didn't want to get, pounced, they would just send aircraft and, fake and stuff like that. But are there that many people watching like the footage of what's happening over in the Ukraine? I'm certainly not. They had me for about a week until they fooled me, and I'm like, nope, not falling for that shit. Nope. That whole Snake Island. I think that was what it was called, right? Everybody surrender, we'll kill you all. And they didn't surrender. They basically told them, like in Bastogne, nuts. And they killed everybody. And then a week later, oh, they actually didn't. I'm like, okay. I don't want to listen to them. I don't want to be glued to not the full picture. No, it's not even not the full picture, because you're not going to get the full picture no matter what you're doing. But you're getting the opposite picture. Everybody died. No, actually, nobody did. Okay, so it's not even close to the truth what you're telling me? No. All right. I'm out. That's why I don't watch the news. And I'm not a conspiracy person by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like, I don't want to waste my time on, fiction. That's why I don't understand people that are like on a, they'll watch the news and on some crusade. Like, dude, you're not getting the full picture. That doesn't mean I support what Russia's doing. I'm just saying that, I don't want to be. What am I doing here? Let's mix up a gray. This stuff dries so fast that you got to keep moving. Come on, we need to bring this up to where it needed to be. Okay, perfect. Now we're there. Let's use a little bit of water. All right, let's bring this thing back to life. As the flow aid works great, but when there's too much of it to the paint, you need some pigment. All right, this color should be good. All right, that's getting there. That's looking better than it looks like it was looking. I painted too many Russian vehicles, so I was already doing a Russian 2, which has a little bit of it almost like has that 2, and it almost like comes back a little bit. And the American 2 is pretty much straight down. Straight down to the corner. Did we go brighter than that? I think that's going to be good enough. I have to pull out the rules one time and see what this thing can do, like with the front of a Panther. And remember, I'm playing an actual scale, so I have a feeling that they can trash a Panther pretty good. 76 millimeter gun at point blank range against the front armor of a Panther. It depends where it hits it, but I think it's going to be bad news for the Panther. Obviously, the reciprocal is a done deal, but at these ranges. And remember, this isn't just a game where it's knocked out. Like, okay, where does it hit and what damage does it do to the vehicle? It's not just damage points. This is a little bit more like War Thunder as opposed to World of Tanks. Where you hit it makes a big difference. Okay, are we safe to weather at this point? Because that's what's coming up next on here. You know what? Before I weather, let's go ahead and do the tracks and the road wheels on the next one. So when I'm done weathering, I can roll into this one and not have to worry about that part. How about that? Yeah, I really do like the Shermans. And they may have junk on them. It's just I'm not on them right now. I don't want to You know, like these guys. I added this junk afterwards. You know, it's worrying about too many things in the beginning. So that's why I didn't worry about it. So, and yeah, those don't have nicknames. I'll have to go back and give them nicknames because I kind of like that. You know, and if you do that, you want to redo something to it, just paint something on it, and you can just do spot flat coat the things that you change on it, you know. Just like a real vehicle. They went to combat, like, oh, we want to name this one, you know, something else, you know. We moved into this tent, we got to give it a name. So, let's paint the tracks and road wheels on this guy. Move this over here. 8 o'clock. I may actually have to stop soon. I need to make sure somebody's awake. Now, we should definitely be on tomorrow morning. Might even be on later this evening. This afternoon. Not this evening. This afternoon. Maybe. I wouldn't count on it, but where is the SS Camo Black or whatever it's called? David Yuff. Is that an L or an I? If it's an I don't know how to pronounce your name. Yuff. David Yuff. Good morning. Had to get out of bed tonight being 16 degrees outside. Not that cold. It's a beautiful fucking day, though. It is beautiful. Let's see. Hey. Beautiful. It's beautiful in Florida in the wintertime. Almost every day. L. It's an L. Okay. David Luff. Well, it looks like Yuff. I don't know who designed the small L, but they should be castrated. They should be brought up to life and castrated. Just like the cursive Q. It's the number 2. Stop fooling yourself. What is the temperature right now? It's probably 38, I guess. 35 feels like 37. So, perfect. I gotta do some stuff this weekend that may be outside my comfort zone. But we will see. With the power of the YouTube video, I should be able to handle it. Are we back to having a creaky chair? These things don't last worth a damn. Shit happens. It's only a few months old, too. It's a pizza crap. By the way, let me see if they finally put that thing on the truck to deliver it today, or they're going to deliver it on a... They're going to deliver it on a freaking work day where it's useless to me. Arriving today by 10. Well, we'll see. They'll allow me to fool with it tomorrow morning. It's being processed at a carrier facility. Oh boy. Who knows what that means? Worst thing than something not delivered on a day that you're going to do is you'll get a message. Package was like they didn't even attempt to deliver it, and they'll enter in the program. It says package was refused by person. Did not accept delivery or whatever it's called. I'm like, I've been sitting on my hands waiting on you guys bringing that thing to me. I almost wish it would go like to like a main post office, and then you just drive over there and get it yourself. You know, but then it would be a disaster. It'd be a line out. You know, there'd be a line all the way out to the next county over. All right, I'm gonna put this on pause for just a moment. I'll be right back. I gotta make sure the missus is up. Hold on. Okay, and we're back. You want to get me pissed on a weekend? Have me sleep till like 8 o'clock with no alarm. I'm like, what? I don't get to paint in the morning? The hell? So this is the color that I've been pretty happy with using as a old rust color. Corrosion. I'm not a fan of tracks in bright orange. I mean, I get it. That's the color that it would look if it would just had just rusted, but I've been pretty happy with this. I don't do any metallic on the tracks. By the time they've driven around, you can't see any of the shine or any of that stuff. I mean, yeah, it might be there, but it's hidden under other stuff. Just a little bit here in case any of that color is showing. That's why I prime black, because if you can't see something, it's going to be a dark shadow. I see no reason to ever change that for me. I don't know how I got that idea. I've seen other people do shit. I've been priming black since probably 1994. No reason to change anything. It provides the right amount of contrast I'm looking for. And likewise, if you're happy the way you're doing it, keep doing it. I'm not here to convert anybody. I'm not on a crusade. of us is going to get dry brushed anyways. We just need to have something that, a base to be dried up against. Dry brushed up against, dry brushed on top of. There we go. That should be good enough for that. I'll get the black out and do the road wheels for this one. And then we'll go back to the first one. I'm going to give myself till 8:30. Then I got to go do my other task and make sure I have time to complete it. Happy Sunday, folks just joining us. Late wakers, late waker-uppers. Or maybe it's super early where you're at. Maybe waking up, if you're waking up late, you're probably staying up late. I stayed up late this last night, and that's called 10 o'clock for me. You know, the thing is there's nothing worth staying up for. I mean, what the hell am I staying up for? And I'm tired on Friday nights. People like, hey, I'm going to go out on Friday night. Why? I need a rest. And I'm not too old for it. It just isn't worth it anymore. This is so not a pain in the butt to do. But the flow aid makes all the difference in the world. That way your paint doesn't catch and you're like stuttering. Just keep it flowing smooth. It works better underneath this way. I don't know why, but it does. Remember, all this is going to be disappearing when you end up putting the dry brush over it. Or most of it anyway. Hey, you just put the brush over and just slide it around. I don't know, maybe I make it seem easier than it is. Not my first rodeo. Make sure you're painting on a table, it doesn't move on you. Okay. She's done. That's Chaplin. So back to Costello here. And let's get our dry brushy colors. I'm going to use this because I hate having the big glop of paint on here that it could end up getting. I could put something on top of it and then transfer it to something else, and then I have to have a cleanup like I do right there. It just takes time. Nothing's permanent. I mean, you get all this stuff to come off, but it's just stupid to create extra work for yourself when I've got plenty to do. Now, let's see if we can end up using some of this. We can. Okay, perfect. Barely. I do a lot better painting one vehicle at a time, one thing at a time, whatever it is. I can focus all my attention on it, not hop around and end up forgetting to do something critical. This stuff has gotten too thick now, so I'm going to. What am I going to do? Let's move this over here. I don't want to transfer something else onto there. I've got tons of these things. Let me just grab another one. Got everybody at the office saving them for me. Don't throw the backs of those of the paper things away. They're useful. And did I put it away? No, it's here. It's the live paint. It's the big glop that I don't need to have on here. This stuff, the dry brushing stuff, you're not going to transfer onto something else. It's just not enough. It's basically dry by the time you brush it off there. All right, now we can move this thing off where we need to. So this isn't a problem. All right, did we finish this side? We're doing the tracks. got smudged a little bit on the other side. So what? Okay, some people just deliberately don't even put a number on there just to hide it in the smudge. So all this stuff is like we've got the back porch. They're building another neighborhood behind us, unfortunately. But at least we knew. At least we knew when we got this house that was happening. It wasn't like surprise, you're back your house is bad. Anyway, so they got to build a new neighborhood, and they got all this dirt and stuff they're moving around back there. It takes no time for the deck on the back porch to get like this, just from, and it's not that close, but dirt travels. Let's wait till pollen season. It'll be all yellow and shit out there. Okay, remember we got to do a lighter color than that, so we don't want to go crazy. We still want the vehicle to look like it was green. Like it originally came in green. Less on here than the whole. That's saying less is more. No, less is still less, but more can be too much. A bad saying. Less is more. No, less is never more. Less can be better. And I don't put armor division markings on it because in the US case it's not very exciting to begin with, but I don't want to use 1st Armor Division and then we're not doing stuff in Italy. This 1st Armor Division, I think, was in Italy the whole time. Went to North Africa and then stayed in Italy, pretty sure. Never went to Northwest Europe, it stayed in Southern Europe. Probably going to make an exception to that rule if once I do British in North Africa. I think I'm going to put the markings on them. They're not exactly vehicles that I can use on another front. And the markings look really good. Except for a couple of those tank brigades. Those are kind of lame looking. But the armor division markings, and what I mean by tank brigades, I'm talking about the brigades like the infantry tanks were in. In North Africa, they're pretty lackluster. Now you can see some shiny spots that are still on here. Thank you. That will all go away once we seal them. And I was skeptical of it at first, but I've seen it in action. Once you seal them, it just brings everything all together. All little happy colors are in unison. All right, where's the other one that's complete? Do they look equivalent? I'm gonna call it. I gotta get on what I'm gonna do, or I'm not gonna have time to finish it today. So that's where we're at right now. We got Cagney and Costello, 2 C Company Shermans. So that's got to do some tools and stuff on Costello, but I don't know how good the lighting is in here, but probably poor. They look equivalent to the Shermans, to the Stuarts. So, anyhow, that's where we'll leave off for today. We'll pick up tomorrow morning and continue on with the Sherman Fest. And anyways, thanks for stopping by, folks. Have a good Saturday, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.